Jules is an AI coding agent that runs your tasks in the cloud. You can ask it to redesign your site, to build out new features, or whatever. But this isn't so much about Jules in its own. This is about the new command line interface that is now available over NPM. Here, I'll specify my repository, which is basically an Astro starter kit, and I'll give it a prompt to redesign the site to be totally whimsical. And it's going to dispatch that task, not locally, but to the cloud. And that's why I get this Jules task URL. If I command click that, I'm using iTurn by the way, it takes me to the web app and we can see it's just started. But Jules has a text user interface. So if I run Jules without any other flags, it will retrieve all the tasks that are happening in the cloud, but it will retrieve it so I can access them locally. The task to redesign the site, there we go, it's just completed. So I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to ask to pull it down, and then I'm going to ask to patch it as a diff. And we can verify that if I go to my Git client, which is GitHub desktop, I can see it's added a screenshot. We've got a browser verification file, and it's made a few changes to the markup and the CSS. Let's run the Astro blog to actually check out what changes it has made. So I'll npm run dev in my terminal, command click that URL, and there we go. To be fair, my prompt was pretty vague. What does whimsical design even mean? Let's discard those changes. Just for the record, this is what the original starter kit looked like, but I want to do more redesigns. Now, I love the idea of rapidly prototyping variations of site redesigns. So I'm going to ask Gemini, given that one terminal command that we entered in earlier, I'm going to ask it to develop variations of that prompt. So we can have a hacker theme, a cyberpunk theme, a medieval theme, and all sorts. Now I've run that in my terminal, and I'm going to use the Jules CLI again to observe all those tasks that have been created correctly. Indeed, they're running in the cloud right now, and now they are complete. Let's check it out. If I go to the Jules web app, I can see all those tasks in the sidebar are indeed complete, and it's really nice because it's given me a screenshot of what at least the homepage looks like. And if I go to each redesign, I can choose to get a branch published. This is going to publish a branch directly onto GitHub. And I'll do this for the remaining redesign tasks. And I'm going to show you a kind of nifty workflow, which you can adopt. Here I am in my Git client, and it's too much of a hassle to check out each branch, run it, and have to explore it locally. So let's just ask Gemini to do it. And if you haven't used Gemini, I do advise it because it's got a generous free tier. In this Gemini CLI prompt, I've specified each branch that we were just looking at, each redesign branch in this prompt. I've asked it to check out and run and take a screenshot of the following Git remote branches. And then I've also mentioned to use Node.js and Puppeteer to take a screenshot and just dump it into a screenshots folder. Because remember, Gemini, or most coding agents for that matter, aren't just for code. They can work with Git. They can do all sorts of things on your CLI. If we look at Git, we should in theory have screenshots of each branch. And indeed we do. That is pretty cool. You might be wondering, what was the point in that? Because didn't Jules already take screenshots? And the point here is to show you workflows. Because in the same way that I ran a sort of screenshot tool, you could also run accessibility tests. Imagine if you compared all the branches to find out the best performing branch according to like a Lighthouse performance test, for example. The medieval branch seems pretty interesting, or at least the screenshot. So let's run the branch. I'll switch to that in my Git client and I'll npm run dev so we can open it up in the web browser. Again, this was really to expose you to some interesting CLI workflows that you might find useful. So go and check it out.